hidden information in my Sid Meier's civilization? That's more likely than you think. With Civ 7 being finally fully released, and the advanced access copies out for a few days, it's been met with some mixed reviews, to say the least. If you watched my review video that I put out after playing Civ for roughly a month or so, this response might not be a bit of a surprise to you. While the core system and mechanics of Civ 7 create a generally fun game to play, it also comes with quite a few headaches. From a less than ideal color palette, a few janky UI decisions, to interesting creation of map types. The choice is yours if you just close your eyes and point to somewhere random and believe. However, the worst offender of these is something that I ranted about heavily in my review, and others have ranted about as well. The fact that there are just missing things in the game. While some of these missing items are already being talked about and being brought back, such as being able to name cities, for example, some of them are literally in the game already, but you just have zero information on what they do or what they are. Now, there might be more that I'm missing or have forgotten, but the key information and things that are missing I'll be going over include: why can't I build or buy a settler? What freshwater settles actually give you? Why do you get +1 science and culture adjacency for some buildings randomly but not others in the beginning? How to actually make a religion, create a custom religion name, and how to actually enhance your beliefs. How to actually create a treasure fleet. How to actually create a trade route. What the length of land and naval trade routes are. Why can't I attack a city-state who I'm starting to be friendly with? And the two most important ones, that is the reason why I even made this video: what do TECHS actually cost and what do CIVICs actually cost? Why is this information missing? I don't know. It could be intentional design decisions, like maybe the tech costs are quote-unquote less important than the things that need to be fixed or added first. Or maybe even, honestly, some of the things just were forgotten to be added. But here are the answers that you might be looking for. Now, before we start off, if you have been enjoying the Civ 7 content, please consider subscribing to the channel. We hit 100,000 this last year, thanks to you all, and let's continue to make Dave happy and grow. So with that, let's go. While this one isn't explicitly hidden as compared to the rest of these, I thought I would throw it in here as a quick little tip. You might be finishing up your granary in your capital, be around turn 15 or so, and be like, wait, where are my settlers? Why can't I build them? Wait, I have enough gold, why can't I even buy them? You go to the actual Settler Civilopedia page, and you realize it actually doesn't tell you anything except its production cost and its site/movement. Like I stated previously, it's not exactly hidden because there is a second Civilopedia page titled Settlers, with an S plural, that does tell you it takes a city of population 5 or greater to found the city. Why these two pages were combined? Don't ask me. Just like in Civilization 6, settling freshwater gives you a bonus to the city upon founding it. In Civ 6, settling on freshwater would make your city have a total of 5 housing, whereas off freshwater it would only give your city 3. But what about in Civ 7? Well, it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you anywhere. When you go to settle a city, the settler screen pops up and it gives you a lens that has 3 color indicators. Red meaning you can't settle on this tile, yellow showing the tile doesn't actually have freshwater, and blue showing it does have freshwater. But what does it mean? The answer is actually fairly simple. It gives you a +5 happiness bonus from settling on freshwater, whereas settling off freshwater gives you no bonus. Yes, that's it. That's the bonus. I thought for the longest time that it actually didn't do anything and it was something missing from the game, but after giving up and asking Carl the dev, I was given the knowledge that I am currently sharing with you. So next time you settle, it doesn't have to be on freshwater, but that extra happiness bonus sure does help. You might notice while you're doing some district planning in the early stages of the game, you're getting these random adjacency bonuses of +1 science and +1 culture on your buildings, even though there's nothing explicitly stating you get these bonuses, even though it just says +1 science and culture adjacency on the window here. It's not in the Civilopedia, it's not on the buildings, and this adjacency is kind of hard to replicate if you don't know where to look at it first. These bonuses are actually from the palace. Quarters built adjacent to the palace, aka the city center, give a +1 adjacency bonus of science and culture. Now, honestly, this took us like hours to figure out when talking with some other creators, and then once we realized what it was, we're like, oh, okay, yeah, actually that makes sense, as it's fairly easy to replicate. The more you know, I guess. But yes, +1 science and +1 culture adjacency on your buildings is coming from a quarter adjacent to the palace. This one is going to be a little long-winded, as religion isn't as straightforward in Civilization 7. Well, it is, but it also isn't. In Civ 5 and Civ 6, you would accumulate great prophet points, and once you got enough, you received a great person, the great prophet, and you use that person to found your religion. In Civilization 7, you need a couple different steps in order to do this. Starting off, you'll need to research the civic piety on the civic tree, and then build the temple building that was just unlocked from piety in one of your cities. Once fully completed, you'll get a notification in the next turn button area that shows the faith icon. Click it, and you'll be able to create your religion. Now from here, you'll see the option to create your religion with the usual religious choices like Zoroastrianism, as well as icons specifically to create your own custom religion. This is where the real hiccup comes in for people wanting to create one, and after watching some of my friends who play the game casually, it took them way longer than it should have because of the unintuitive UI. Once you click the icon that you want, for example this little bug icon here, you go up to the top and you type in your custom religion name. Now it seems fairly easy, but in order to actually use the custom name before you can click this little confirm section, you have to click the pencil icon to confirm that name before you can confirm your religion. After that, you pick your beliefs like you normally would, your reliquary belief and your founder belief. Now this is another part where I've seen a lot of confusion, the extra founder beliefs and the enhancer beliefs. Additional founder beliefs are, believe it or not, gained through narrative events throughout the game, which is why it says in this section, unlock more founder beliefs through gameplay, which isn't exactly clear. Do I continue playing the game, but how do I unlock them? Do I get more civics? Do I have to spread my religion? Do I have to do something special? Who knows? But you get narrative events eventually. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I have a feeling this will change in the future because I have over 250 hours in Civ 7 already, and I have not once, and I'm not joking, not even once gotten additional founder belief through a narrative event. It'll probably change. For enhancing your religion, it's a bit more simple than just playing the game. You'll just need to go down the theology tree and select the civic titled theology. Once completed, this gives you the ability to evangelize your religion and create an enhancer belief. This isn't really related to what I was talking about, but it's generally more beneficial to convert other cities than just your own, as this also might be confusing people at first glance. Even though it says in your description of the beliefs, it's actually different than how it works in Civ 6. You get your founder belief bonuses, for example, +4 science from cities following your religion, from other civilizations that follow your religion, not your own. There are policy cards later on that give you bonuses for your own cities that follow your religion, but at this time, there's basically zero reason to convert your own cities except to eliminate the bonuses the AI is getting for having your cities converted to your religion. This one has been causing quite a bit of confusion with my friends who play a bit more casually and haven't been keeping up with the multitude of reviews and advanced access playthroughs. But they struggle to create treasure fleets even though they believe they have all the requirements for them. Honestly, even outside of this, there's been some confusion among other creators who have been saying some different things that they're just actually wrong. So here are the requirements you have to have in order to start generating treasure fleets. First, you need a coastal city on your homeland continent. Second, a settlement in distant lands that has one of the resources that create treasure fleets. Those are cocoa, sugar, tea, and spices. Third, you have to create a tile improvement on those specific resources. 4, you need to have a fishing key built inside that city. And 5, you have to have shipbuilding researched. Once you research shipbuilding, you'll notice that on the resource tab, you'll start accumulating treasure fleets as indicated by this little section right here. 2 things of note. If you have a city that is 100% landlocked on a distant land continent with no way to build a fishing key, you will not be able to create treasure fleets in that city. Even if that city is connected via a road to a town on the coast of that continent that does have a fishing key, they will not spawn. I've tested this so many different ways, so many different times. I've had people tell me it works and it just does not work. However, if you do have a city that is inland that has a treasure fleet resource and you have places to put down a fishing key, such as a navigable river, those will start to spawn treasure fleets. Just be careful where you place that key, as it's considered the spawn point for them. AKA, don't place the fishing key in a landlocked lake. Don't ask me how I know. Now, this may not be intentional. It may be intended that the inland city connected to a town on the coast is supposed to spawn treasure fleets, but that's just how it works right now. You may also notice that every once in a while you research shipbuilding and you think you have all the requirements for it, but you're still not spawning treasure fleets. Triple check that you have a fishing key built inside that city, and also triple check that you have a coastal city on your home continent. Those are the requirements. If someone says differently, they're wrong. I'm confidently telling you that they are wrong. Those are the requirements. I'm not even going to harp on my feelings about the trade route screens in the UI. Let's just jump straight into it. When you create a merchant, you don't immediately get a button like you would in previous Civ games to create the trade route, even when you select a city on the trade route screen. This is quick and easy. In order to create a trade route, you have to physically move the merchant to the city you want to create the trade route in. And then once it is within that city's borders, you will get a button that allows you to create said trade route. Additionally, if you find yourself not being able to create more trade routes and the land shows up as red, you can use a diplomatic action to establish more trade routes with that civ. Or honestly, it could also be that the city you're trying to trade with is out of range, which in that case, that brings us to the next point. If you were like me and had no idea how long trade routes have to be when you first opened up Civ 7, you're not alone, because there's nothing in the game that tells you what they are, except the trade screen just says that the cities are out of range. There are two types of trade routes created with the merchant, land and sea trade routes, and the ranges are different for both types, and they change per age. For land-based trade routes, the ranges to create them are 10 tiles between cities in the Antiquity, 15 tiles in the Exploration, and 20 tiles in the Modern Age. For sea-based trade routes, it's 30 tiles in Antiquity, 45 in Exploration, and 60 tiles in the Modern Age. This is a little one that I'm sneaking in here that isn't utilized every single game, but there's kind of no information on how to do it. You might have befriended an independent peoples, or are starting to, but then realize, hey, they're settled in a location that has treasure fleet resources on them, but I can't wait to incorporate them into your empire, so let's just kill them and, oh, wait, actually, you can't do that. In fact, there isn't a button anywhere to declare war on them, only to further your diplomacy. The answer, honestly, is just to take one of your units, right-click on the city-state itself or any of their units, and it will bring up the war diplomacy screen, and you can go ahead and completely wipe out the city-state. These last 2 points I had to dig into the database to find because, all you could do is take out a calculator and guess. Brother, this is Civ. This isn't Victoria. I don't want to have to do maths and pull out a spreadsheet to figure out what the cost of pottery is by calculating my science per turn against the number of turns that I have left. So, it should just tell me. So without further ado, here is every single tech, civic, and special civic tree branch science and culture costs on standard speed. I'll be listing each of the techs for each age, so feel free to pause it when you get there. For technologies, we'll start in the Antiquity age. Now, agriculture only costs 1 science. That's why it only takes 1 turns. Pottery and animal husbandry both take 70 science, while sailing takes 85. Riding, irrigation, and masonry take 125 science. Currency and the wheel take 245 science. Bronzeworking takes 255. Navigation, engineering, and military training all take 430 science each. Mathematics and ironworking take 738 science. And future tech takes 1,255 science. Now, the masteries are not shown in the database for some reason. I don't know where they are. I looked for them forever. But based off of calculating as well as what they take in game, it looks like the masteries cost roughly 80% the cost of the original techs themselves. So, for example, writing takes 125 science. Based off of my calculations, writing 2 roughly costs around 100 science, so on and so forth. For the exploration age, cartography, astronomy, and machinery all cost 500 science. Guilds, feudalism, heraldry, and castles all cost 650. Education, shipbuilding, metallurgy cost 900. Architecture, metal casting both cost 1200 science. Urban planning, gunpowder cost 2100 science, and the feature tech cost 2,750. Once again, the masteries cost roughly around 80% of their respective techs. The modern age techs are as follows. Academics, steam engine, and military science are 1,400 science. Electricity, urbanization, and combustion and industrialization are 2,175 science. Radio, flight, and mass production are 2,400 science. Mobilization and armor are 3,425 science. Aerodynamics is 4,450. Rocketry is 6,475. And future tech is 8,000 science. The culture side of things, the civic side of things, is going to take a little longer than the science side, so buckle up. Antiquity age, chiefdom costs 90 culture, that's why you don't finish it on turn 1. Mysticism and discipline cost 125 respectively. Public life, code of laws, and tactics are 245 culture. Entertainment, citizenship, and organized military are 450. Literacy and skilled trades are 600. Philosophy and commerce are 750 culture, and the future civic is 1000 culture, and the same thing applies. The masteries are roughly 80% of their respective civics. For the exploration age, we'll start with economics and piety, both at 700 culture to research. Mercantilism, authority, and inspiration are all at 900 culture respectively. Colonialism and bureaucracy and diplomatic service are at 1300, as well as society. Imperialism, sovereignty, and social class are at 2100, and the future civic is at 3000. Theology is at 700 culture, and Reformation is at 900 culture. Once again, their respective masteries are 80% of their culture costs. Now, jumping into the modern age, modernization, natural history, and the social question are all at 1600 culture, whereas political theory is at 2375. Globalism and nationalism are at 3000, whereas capitalism and militarism are at 4500 alongside hegemony, and the future civic is at 8000 culture. Jumping into the ideology branches, democracy, fascism, and communism are all at 2375 culture respectively. Offshoots, liberalism, radicalism, and centralism are at 3000 culture, and the final leafs, socialism, absolutism, and progressivism are all at 4500 culture. Now we're going to jump into each of the unique civic trees for each civ. So for Aksum, Periplus of the Aetherian Sea is 150 culture, Momentum is 250, and Book of the Himyarites is 250 as well. Egypt, Arrival of Hapi is 150, Scales of Anubis is 150, and the Light of Amun-Ra is 250 culture. For Greece, Ecclesia is 150, as well as Agoge, but the Symmachia culture civic is 250 culture. For the Hans, Z is 150 culture, Li is 250, Yi is 250, and Junzi is 400. For the Khmer, Musong is 150 culture, Amnak 250, and Chakravarti is 400. For the Maurya, Acharya is 150, Voyam is 250, Ayurveda, sorry I'm butchering these pronunciations, is also 250, and then Mantri Parashad is 400 culture. For the Maya, the first two, Lords of Zabalba and Rain, are 150 culture, and then Calendar is 250 culture. For the Mississippians, Earthworks is 150, Ka-Naha is 250, and the final one is also 250. Persia, Spada is 150 culture, Satrapies is 250 culture, and the Achaemenid Empire is 400 culture. You might be noticing a pattern here. For Rome, Civitas is 150, as well as Erxidus. Legatus is 250, and then Senatus is 400 culture. For the exploration age, going down into the Abbasid is at Round City and Malwa are at 800 culture, and the Al Jaber are at 1200 culture. For the Chola, Nagaram is at 800, and then the final two are at 1200 culture, with the final one, Monsoon Winds, at 2000. For Hawaii, Mana and Ohana are at 800 culture, and the final one is at 1200 culture. For the Inca, Mita is at 800, whereas the final two are at 1200. For the Mujapait, Wayang, and I'm going to absolutely butcher that, so those are at 800. Nusantara is at 1200, and Gamelan is at 2000 culture. For the Ming, 9 garrisons is at 800. Dija is at 1200 culture, and Daminglu is at 1200 culture. Mongolia, Ulus is at 800. 4 Hounds is at 1200, and Yasa is at 2000, once again with their masteries at 80%. For the Normans, Justici is at 800. We have Common Law at 1200, and Domesday Book at 2000. The first two civics are 513 culture. Telwatiki is at 567, as well as the Malaki Kintake, I think that's how you pronounce that, is also at 567. Songhai, both Ship of the Desert and Hikoi are at 800, whereas Kanta is at 1200 culture. Council of the Indies is at 800 culture, whereas Armada and New World Riches are at 1200 culture. America, Yankee Ingenuity, and Captains of Industry are at 2000 respectively, whereas wartime manufacturing are at 3,000 culture. Baganda, Nalubale is at 2,000 culture, whereas at the second one is at 3,000 culture, and Nyanza is at 4,000. For France, Belle and Triomphe are at 2,000 culture, and the final one, Grand Army, is at 3,000 culture. Oh, sorry, and the final one is at 4,000 culture. Meiji Japan, we have Bunmei and the 5 articles at 2,000 culture, Supreme War Council at 3,000, and Kantai Kasen at 4,000. For Mexico, Politicos is at 2,000 culture, whereas the rest of them, Iguala, Ayutthaya, and Tuxtepec, are at 3,000 culture. For the Mughal Empire, Zabd is at 2,000 culture, Jagir and Mansabdari are at 3,000 culture, and the Gardens of Paradise is at 4,000 culture. For Prussia, Ruhr and Zollverein are both at 2,000 culture. Dispatch is at 3,000, and this last one, Biwangungskrieg, is at 4,000. The Qing, we have 10 Great Campaigns at 2,000 culture, Open Customs at 3,000, as well as Tax Reformation, and then Stabilizing Frontier at 4,000 culture. For Russia, we have Serfdom at 2,000, Table of Ranks at 3,000 culture, and the final one at 4,000 culture. And for Siam, 9 Gems is at 2,000, Mandala is at 3,000, and Sirolai is at 4,000 culture. So there you have it. That is all of the TECHS, as well as all of the civics for each of the civs, their ideology trees, so on and so forth, etc. That was a lot. But there you go. That was all of the TECHS in civics in Civilization 7 vanilla. It's a lot of information. I hope you got it all. Well, there you have it. I'm sure there's a ton more that's actually hidden in the game that needs to be brought up, or I honestly might have just completely forgotten about. So if there is, please let me know in the comments below. If someone can figure out the happiness celebration curve as well, I'm fairly positive it's exponential. It honestly didn't add up. I mean, like I said, I'm not a smart maths man. I haven't done like variables in 15 years, so I just click buttons very good in game, and that's how I do good. If there's enough extra hidden things that need to be revealed, more information found in the database, or there's stuff that you guys tell me about, I'll absolutely make a second video on this, because I'll be honest, I think this information needs to be shown, and if it's ever going to be fixed or put into the game, the pressure needs to be put on Firaxis to do it. Otherwise, just like I said in my review video, if it doesn't get brought up, it doesn't get fixed. Please consider subscribing to the channel for all of my Civ 7 content that's going to be coming in the future. I do have a Patreon, Ko-Fi, and if you wanted to support the channel more directly, don't have to, just putting it out there. And once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.